Hello friends, this is Wael Bashuri, math and physics teacher. In this video I'm going to teach you how to graph trigonometric functions. So let's start with a simple function, that's the parent function. Fx is equal to sine x. Now this is the parent function, and the graph of this function is very easy. You have x-axis, y-axis, and then the graph is like this. So that's the sine parent function. Now, what's going to happen to the parent function if you add a negative sign in front of the function? Let's say you have fx is equal to negative sine x. In this case, the function will be reflected over the x-axis, and it will become like this. Now, what's going to happen to the parent function if you add 1 to the parent function? So let's say we have fx is equal to sine x plus 1. In this case, the parent function will be shifted 1 unit upward, and it would become like this. So here, in this case, the middle line, which is y equal 1. And then the function would be like this. Now, what about if you add 2 in front of x as coefficient of x? So fx is equal to sine 2x. In this case, what's going to happen to the function? And here we come to talking about the period of the sine function. So for example, if you have fx is equal to sine x. Now here you have the coefficient of x is 1, and the period of the function period is equal 360 divided by this number by 1, and then you get 360. So here in this case the graph must be from 0 to 360. So here you have 5 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here you have 1 plus 1. This is because here you have also plus 1, and here you have minus 1, maximum minimum points. Now you graph it this way. So that's the parent function. Now if you add 2, now adding 2 as coefficient of x, it becomes fx is equal to sine 2x. Now the difference would be in the period now. So the period will become 360 divided by 2, which is 180. So in this case, the graph would seem like this. Still the amplitude is 1, plus 1 minus 1 here. And you have the 5 points. But now, here, it was from 0 to 360. Now it becomes from 0 to 180. And there is no change in the shape of the graph. So it's the same thing, but the only change we have is in the period. So here you have to divide 360 by 4. So you have 90, 180, 270, and here you have to divide 180 by 4. You get 90 in the middle, and 45 here, and 135 here. So that's the difference between the two periods. Now what about if you put 3 instead of 2? So let's see what we get. Fx is equal to sine 3x. In this case, we would have the graph like this. The 5 points do not change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But now the period has changed. The period has become 360 divided by 3, which is 120. Now, the amplitude did not change. Here you have plus 1, and here you have minus 1. And the graph would seem like this. Here you have 120. The middle is 60. The middle is 30. The middle here is 90. And the graph is like this. Okay, now what's going to happen if you add a number in front of the function? Like, let's say you have fx is equal to 2 sine x. In this case, what will happen to the parent function? In this case, the amplitude would increase and becomes 2. So now the amplitude is 2 plus 2 here and minus 2 here. So that's the effect of this 2 in this case. Now the 5 points do not change. They are the same here. The period, as you can see, is 360 because here you have 1. So 360 divided by 1 equal to 360. And the graph would be the same thing, like this. Now, what about the cosine graph? Let's see the cosine graph now. Here you have f of x is equal to cosine x. Also, here you have to memorize the parent function. So the parent function consists always of 5 points. So here you have plus 1. That's the amplitude, which is here, plus 1. And since here you have 1 also, the period of the function is 360. So 360 divided by 1 equals 360. Now you graph it from 0 to 360. In the middle you have 180. But now the shape is different. Here you have the minimum point. Then you connect. Then you have the maximum. And the graph would seem like this. So that's the parent function of the cosine graph. You have to memorize it like this. Now what's going to happen if you add 2 as coefficient of x? For example, fx is equal to cosine 2x. In this case, the period has changed. So let's calculate the period. 360 divided by 2 is equal to 180. So this means the 5 points must be from 0 to 180. The middle is 90. The middle is 45. The middle here is 135. And the graph would seem like this. This is minus 1. This is plus 1. And here you have the minimum at 90. And then the graph would be like this. So that is cosine 2x. Now, what's going to happen to the function if you add 1? For example, if you add 1 to the function, fx is equal to cosine x plus 1. Or minus 1. Say minus 1. In this case, the function, the parent function, will go 1 unit down. So how do you graph it? Very easy. So here you have the amplitude is plus 1. So the middle line has become now minus 1. So that's the middle line. Y equal minus 1. And the 5 points must be now on the middle line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here you have minus 2. So the function must be drawn between 0 and minus 1 and minus 2. So here you have a graph of the function like this. So what happened to the function, to the parent function? It was shifted 1 unit downward because of this minus 1. It was shifted 1 unit down. Now what about the horizontal shift? The horizontal shift, for example, when you have fx is equal to sine x minus 30. In this case, the function would be shifted 1 unit, 30 to the right, 30 units to the right. Now what about if I change it and make it 90? In this case, the function would be shifted 90 units to the right. So now it becomes like this. The 5 points do not change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I will add one more point like this. So here you have 0, and here you have 360 because the period is from 0 to 360. The middle here is 180, and here it's 90. And here if you add 360 plus 90, you get 450. The amplitude is plus 1, still the same. But now the function has been shifted 1 unit to 90 units to the right. So it becomes like this. Same thing with respect to the cosine function. So the minus will shift it to the right. The plus will shift it to the left. So shifting left or right, these are the rules. The minus sign will shift it horizontally to the right. The plus sign will shift it horizontally to the left. So this is horizontal. Shifting or translation. While when we take about vertical translation, in this case the plus sign will shift it up and the minus sign will shift it down. So here we're talking about vertical shifting.